A little over 30 days ago, I started learning Japanese through a spaced repetition flashcard software called Anki. If you don't already know what Anki is, it is a free open source program that only gives you a flashcard once it thinks that you might have forgotten it. This way, you can spend less time reviewing what you already know. Before Anki, I used Duolingo on and off for quite some time. But when I'd watch anime, I couldn't really understand anything without relying solely on subtitles. Last month, I started back up with learning Japanese, but this time I wanted to take the learning seriously. I had already briefly used Anki before while learning some Swedish, so I already knew that it was a great first step to take. If you're wondering what card deck I'm using, it is the V2K deck, which takes words from visual novels. It shows you kanji alongside the hiragana and katakana for pronunciation. Alongside that, you get an audio clip of a native Japanese speaker saying that word. One thing to note about this deck is that it doesn't have any sentences, but focuses just on the words. After I finish this deck, I want to start with sentence mining. I just want to get a foundation with vocabulary first before I make that leap. Alongside Anki, I have been doing some immersion. I like the idea of AJAT, all Japanese all the time, but I am not nearly that much of a tryhard enough to be listening to native Japanese speaking all day. Though I have set my phone over to Japanese and have switched over to listening to a lot more Japanese music. As for anime, I rewatched Bocchi the Rock without English subtitles, though I'm a bit more nervous about starting shows I've never watched before, all in Japanese, as I feel like I would definitely struggle to understand what's going on. So for the time being, I've been mostly sticking to English subs. Anime definitely helps me a lot with the learning process because when I encounter a word I learned through Anki, it does a great job at solidifying that word into my vocabulary. While this still works with anime with English subs, when I can't rely on a translation, it strongly encourages me to lock in on what is actually being said. Doing this helps me notice a lot more vocab I already know. I'll often come across a word that I know is in my Anki deck, but I've forgotten the meaning of. When I hear these, I'll sometimes check the meaning real quick in an effort to make sure I remember the word for when it's time for me to inevitably review it. Anyway, enough talk about immersion. Let's get into the actual Anki statistics here. So lately, I've had about 100 to 120 cards to review each day. I've been able to handle that pretty well, but the number of reviews I do has been slowly increasing, and I want to start spending more time starting up this channel. Luckily, you can just change how many new cards you get each day. If you lower it, your amount of daily reviews slowly decreases. I've done just that, lowering the new card count from 20 to 15. You can see here on the calendar I've completely missed 2 days and did only a few cards on the very lightly blue colored days. For some reason I keep skipping Fridays, probably because I'm exhausted from the work week and I use the excuse of I'll have more time to do it this weekend. This shows me the total amount of time I've spent doing Anki and how much it takes up each day. For a while now, I've generally been spending about an hour a day on Anki. When I skip a day, you can see I spend quite a bit more time catching up. The key stats here are that I spend 61 minutes a day on average and have studied a total of nearly 29 hours so far. Now we are at card counts. This shows the total number of cards I've reviewed. The young and mature cards total right up to 572. I just recently learned about graduating or suspending cards, so I'm going to start graduating cards that I already know really well. I'd say that I know about 90% of the mature cards confidently, but only about half of the young cards. Here is review intervals. I honestly don't think this is a super important graph for this video, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. The only interesting thing to note is that I have a whole lot of cards with a 4-day review interval, and I'm not sure why. Now we have card ease, which is by far the most confusing Anki statistic. It states here that the lower the ease, the more frequently a card will appear. Ease essentially has to do with how soon Anki thinks you should be reviewing a card, and it gets this number based off of how many times you select again, hard, good, and easy on a card. There's an interesting thing you can run into called Ease Hell, where you review a lot more cards than you should every day because Anki thinks they're more difficult than they actually are. I found this cool article on it that you might want to check out, link in the description. Retention is another really important data piece as it shows the pass rate of cards you've been reviewing. My pass rate has slowly been increasing, but I still feel like it is pretty low compared to other people's pass rates that I've seen. I could just be making unrealistic comparisons, but I could also just be a smooth brain, which I think is a bit more likely. This is the hourly breakdown. You can see here that my success rate sits between 50 and 60%. About a few weeks into doing Anki, I had a theory that I would achieve a higher rate if I did my cards before work in the afternoon rather than after work at midnight. I believed that since I'd be freshly awake after getting my morning coffee, my memory would simply work better. Of course, I tried this out and then found out that I only got minuscule increases to my success rate, only being a few percent higher compared to doing it late at night. The last piece of data here is how often I click on the different answer buttons. You've probably immediately noticed that I rarely click hard and easy. I do have an explanation for this. As I said earlier, I'm a bit of a smooth brain, so I feel like I should keep my review intervals shorter than Anki thinks they should be. Now, this can lead to ease hell, but there are quick fixes to that if I end up there. If you made it here to the end of the video, I'm honored. As I'm a small creator, if you haven't already noticed, I want to continue documenting my progress with Japanese and potentially make videos about anime. If that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and subscribe to stay updated. If you have any advice or questions for me, I'd appreciate it if you dropped a comment. Links to everything I talked about are all in the description.